Sarakayah Chukshura Ena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Hare Krishna to everybody. In the continuation of reading Nectarean Ocean of the Holy Name, Section 2, Improving the Chanting, Overcoming Indifference and Distraction. Question. While chanting the holy name, the devotees very often struggle with the anarthas of indifference and distraction. What remedies do the scriptures and the acharyas suggest in order to overcome these two serious obstacles? Answer. In order to overcome indifference to any activity, one firstly has to become aware of the significance of that activity. Hence, if we are negligent in executing our devotional service, we should remember the unique chance of coming in contact with Krishna by chanting. According to the Harinam Chintamani, there are only two spiritual objects in this material world. First ourselves, the Jiva souls, and then the holy name. Consequently, nothing better can be had in the material nature than the holy name, the Lord Himself in the form of transcendental sound vibration. Everything else is dull matter. Someone who has indeed realized that he is a part of Krishna but is in an alien atmosphere in this material world cannot stay indifferent towards the holy name, because he knows that the holy name, which is fully spiritual, connects him with his original spiritual home. By chanting attentively, he perceives a spiritual atmosphere which resembles the kingdom of God. Then he becomes aware that chanting actually means to arrive finally, after a long tiresome journey at the spiritual realm, to take shelter at Krishna's lotus feet. Distraction is also a great obstacle in performing devotional service. It is the cause of the very offense from which all other offenses are brought forth, namely to chant the holy name without attention. Only by successfully overcoming all distraction, one will be able to chant with concentration and delight. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur offers a support to become free from distraction. One should sit regularly for some time in a quiet place where it is possible to fully concentrate on the holy name. In his house in Mayapur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur constructed a small room of 75 and 75 centimeter size, locked with a thick door. In this room, he would chant peacefully and with full concentration. He advises everyone to find a similar place which is quiet and where one can stay alone, fully absorbing the mind in the holy name. Then only can one enter the depth of chanting. Chanting in the association of devotees. Question. On the other hand, it is said that the inability to focus the mind on chanting can be overcome by sitting near an advanced chanter. Isn't this a contradiction? Answer. No, of course we need the association and the example of other devotees to develop the desire and the knowledge how to improve our chanting. Nevertheless, the fact is irrefutable that in the end we have to know on our own how to chant. For migratory birds, it is certainly an inspiration to fly together with other birds in the same flock. Actually, each bird is fully dependent on the flock, but still, every single bird has to fly on its own and cannot take a rest on the back of another one. In the same way, we all have to become competent and learn by ourselves how to chant with full concentration. We all have to learn how to control the mind ourselves. No one can do this for us. We should, of course, seek inspiration by observing the example of others, but in the end, we must do the work ourselves. In other words, both aspects are important. Sometimes we should chant in the association of well-trained devotees to become inspired. At other times, we should go to a quiet place in order to withdraw from all external distractions and put to test the quality of our chanting. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also advised that in order to overcome distraction, one should very distinctly pronounce the holy name and listen very carefully. This is, of course, a question of practice. He still admits that it is very difficult for the conditioned living being to overcome the anartha of distraction on one's own strength. Yet, by the mercy of the Lord, it is possible. Therefore, it is essentially to humbly and intensely pray for the Lord's mercy. This, he concludes, is the only possibility for the jiva to finally become liberated from distraction. From these statements, it is obvious that to avoid distraction is an extremely difficult yet unavoidable task. The stage of chanting with diversion can only be overcome by the sincere endeavor to follow the three recommended steps, namely, to go now and then to be quiet, secluded place for chanting, to chant the holy name distinctly and to listen well, and finally to pray intensely for Krishna's mercy. In essence, we must endeavor seriously to avoid distraction by surrendering completely unto the holy name. This is the only chance. Turning the mind towards the holy name. Question. It is very difficult to control the functions of the mind, thinking, feeling, and willing. Do we have to turn off these functions while chanting, or can the mind still be engaged in Krishna's service? Answer. It is most important to concentrate the mind on one point, on one activity. Thus, instead of thinking, feeling, and willing, the mind should simply be focused on the holy name while chanting. Then only the mind is engaged in the service of chanting. There are also some useful mechanical means. Number one, chant at a time free of disturbance, preferably early in the morning. Number two, in order to calm down, breathe deeply before chanting. Number three, the bodily position influences the mind, therefore chant sitting in an upright position. Number four, before chanting, surrender to the Lord in the mind. The following prayer is very much appropriate. Kayena vacha manasendriyakayeva buddhyatmana va vanuskruta svabhavat karoti yat yat sakalam parasmai narayaneti samarpayat tat. Whatever I have done with my body, said with my words, thought with my mind, perceived with my senses, or comprehended with my intelligence, I offer it to the Supreme Lord Narayana. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.36. Write down and look at the mantra from time to time. Display pictures of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, Sri Radha Krishna and the spiritual master. Chant in the right association, best in the association of the spiritual master. This is even possible in a lonely place. After a certain time of spiritual progress, Krishna's different qualities will automatically reveal themselves in our mind when chanting. First, the holy name of the Lord appears, then the form, then the qualities, and finally his Leelas. So I stop here for today's reading. The very pretty simple and straightforward things being put by the author, how to overcome the distractions and anarthas during chanting. Couple of quotes and examples has been made. One way is to overcome the distraction by concentrating on the holy name while chanting, by listening each and every word of the Maha Mantra. Second thing is to often have a secluded place where no disturbances is there, and bringing mind to the one point focus by doing breathing exercise before the start of chanting. And the last is to have Krishna's picture or spiritual master's pictures in our mind. And the most important thing is to associate with the advanced devotees for chanting. However, a very beautiful example was given over here about the bird of flocks flying in case of migration, how they depend upon each other, although but still they have to be independent in pursuing in their own endeavors. Similarly, here for us, we may take an association of advanced devotees, yet everything depends upon our own endeavor to progress in a chanting, and one should sincerely put all his efforts and endeavors and completely surrender to Krishna for his mercy and beg for his mercy to improve our chanting. This is the one way of overcoming anarthas and distractions. Since once we overcome these, as these are the main root and cause for another anarthas, fixing these two things would help us in progress of chanting. So I stop here.